What's going on, family? Welcome to episode 10, Study Hall Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Manny Parrish, here with my son, Trick or Trader Genius. And today we have a super special guest, Robert Bolton, man. What's going on?
Hey, man, I'm just happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Appreciate you joining us. So, Robert, man, over the years, we've been building a relationship, I feel like. And, I always start my show off with 6 degrees of separation. So it's just how I'm connected to my guests and, just sharing that experience with the audience. So, I've been in Charlotte for about 3 years now, running the program, About a Bucket, Paris Prep Academy. And, we oftentimes go on a lot of trips. Mm-hmm. And, renting from Enterprise can be expensive. So, Pops kind of handles a lot of the logistics from time to time. And he reached out to a few people on Toro. And we found these Sprinter vans. And the Sprinter vans, they were nice. One of them was actually a Maybach. I'm like, wait a minute, there's no way that this is the price that you could get a Maybach for. So we started renting the Sprinters, doing good business. And, eventually Pops was like, wait a minute, I'm a hustler. I know this guy probably prefers to make the money directly opposed to going through all of these fees. Let's set up a meeting with this guy and see kind of what he's about. And, we set up a meeting. We ended up meeting you and learning that you were also a part of, actively a part of the basketball community.
Very much so.
Doing a lot of business. You're very well known and well respected in the community. And you've been a straight up, honest, honorable guy in business and somebody that I'll honestly say I look up to, man. So appreciate you joining the show, bro. I'm glad to have you.
Nah, I'm glad you invited me on, and man, for you to say you look up to me, that almost makes me. My kids call me Unc. I feel like that might be a sign of Unc status for real.
Hey, man, I guess that's just more so like a sign of respect.
Yeah.
I feel like, me being a young businessman, I'm always the guy that's like a sponge. I'm looking at people doing things that I like to do or things that I aspire to do. And I'm looking at, successes and failures that they may have, but just kind of looking at people that I could go to as a blueprint. I've always kind of been an old soul. I'll be 32 this year, but I don't hang with anybody really my age. I've always been around my dad a lot. He's kind of guided me, but he's always made sure that I was able to kind of know how to network and connect with people. So glad to be able to have a business relationship with you. Man, kind of just walk us through your earliest stage or earliest memories of kind of falling in love with the game of basketball.
Yeah, no, I fell in love with the game of basketball when I was about your son's age. My mother was a single mother, and I wanted something to do to kind of appease my mind or whatnot, and started following the game of basketball. Started following specifically the Michigan Wolverines Fab Five. I would say that's probably when I really started to really look at it from a different perspective.
You don't know who the Fab Five is.
No, he doesn't probably. But even before that, though, just really falling in love with the game and really teaching myself how to play the game. And I started to realize as I got older, you can only go but so far teaching yourself. And some of my friends had their fathers or they had coaches in their lives that really were able to guide them. And I didn't have that. And that always kind of sat with me. But I just kept pushing. Around 9th, 10th grade, I had an opportunity to play varsity at Independence High School and made the team. You probably wouldn't have played my 9th, 10th grade year, but I made the team. And I decided to stop playing.
Yeah.
And my kids always ask me, why'd you stop playing? And I stopped playing because I really didn't have the support to kind of, pursue that career further.
Push you to keep going.
Yeah, because at that point in time, we'd waking up doing cross country, and I'm like, why am I running 5 miles a day in the summertime and 100 degrees in Charlotte? And I just decided to quit.
Yeah.
And I've always said that, my kids, if I'm fortunate enough to have kids that are interested in sports, I'm going to give them the foundation and the support, to kind of pursue their dreams. I'm not going to, if they don't want to do it no more, that's fine.
Right.
But if you want to do it, I'm going to support you and create that lane for you.
Yeah. And I appreciate you kind of sharing that experience because a lot of people feel like basketball has to be the end all be all, right? One thing that I really love about the game as a coach is that, reflecting on my experience playing growing up, like I played through high school, I had a bad injury, wasn't able to pursue it after college. But I learned a lot of lessons through the sport that kind of helped propel me in life today. Like when I fall back in certain situations and dealing with adversity and just overall work ethic, even the waking up at 5 a.m. for work is very similar to waking up for a 2-a-day practice or something of that nature. So I feel like basketball and sports in general just really instill you with a lot of values and discipline that you can kind of apply to life. So it's something that I preach to my kids that I coach and, my son and everything like that. But I definitely appreciate you sharing that perspective. Having my dad in my household, I was fortunate, but I do have friends that, have similar experiences where they didn't have, a father figure. So, their coach was their father figure. And even now, like we have I call him my nephew, but it's really just a guy that we took into our home.
Oh, yeah.
They had a single mother. The foundation wasn't the greatest, and he had a whole lot of potential. And I'm like, I can't imagine seeing him go down a negative path. So let me kind of be, a resource. I felt like God was calling on me to kind of help him out. So shout out to him. But I definitely understand that. Trey, anything you got to add?
What age did you have your kids start playing ball?
Oof. I would say around the ages of 6. Shout out to Ed Cook. I had my kids going over to 2200 Ashley Road. Never gonna forget, it was format called small group training or whatnot, and thought my kids were pretty good or whatnot at the time. But you get in there, and that's kind of the first experience, I would say, at the Lions Den. And the thing I like about those type of environments is that you can make mistakes and nobody's around you, right? You can have that moment where you have a bad practice and you're crying and they're 6, 7 years old. And I remember, many, many times, like, thinking, okay, this is something they really want to do.
Right.
And over time, they started to really buy into it. And I started realizing basketball, the culture of it, right? And it's just been one of those things, but they just kind of stuck with it.
Yeah. You mentioned Ed Cook. Shout out to Ed Cook. I don't really have like a personal relationship with him, but the name pops up all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely know who he is. I know of him. I respect what he's doing. All of his teams seem to somehow have like a great culture, So as a coach, I'm big on culture. I can appreciate that. And not being from here, everybody that's from here seems to always talk about Ed. You mentioned the Ashley Road situation. Kind of talk about the importance of, Ed Cook and kind of what he does from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm real big on just balance and foundation, right? And someone that's gonna push my kid, but push him from a place of love. And as a man, I think one of the biggest challenges we have sometimes as fathers is that we have to take a step back and realize we need other men to help raise our kids and kind of help us be better, right? And I'm a Morehouse grad, so I fully, really, really embrace that type of dynamic because there's professors that I sat in their office, even after they gave me an F on the test and just talked about life, right?
Facts.
And so really like that foundation, right? And having that foundation, and I always tell people, like, listen, this basketball world is all about all this different stuff, but really if you can find a right foundation for your kid, that's one thing that I will give Ed and Grind Academy now, Team United, they kind of help my kids really get that foundation. And I see the work, I see it now later.
Right.
When they're younger, it's kind of like, how can I get them just to ride the wave? But now I don't do a lot of yelling in the gym no more. You might not even know I'm in the gym.
Right.
Because my kids know what to do.
Yeah.
And one thing that Ed said to me, said to the kids one day, and he said, it's so hard in here because when you get out there, it's supposed to be easy.
Easy.
Even for me as a parent, that hit home for me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is supposed to be hard.
It's supposed to be hard.
It's supposed to be hard.
Practice it's supposed to be much harder than the game.
Yeah, so, it's been a big part of me in terms of what I look at from a transition standpoint with my kids in this basketball journey, looking for those same core elements that I learned from that program early on. Yeah,
well, shout out to Ed, man. Shout out to those guys over there at Team United. A lot of my players within the By the Bucket program, they even train over there at Ashley Road. Even I think our prep school utilizes that facility from time to time, just as like an aux gym. So shout out to those guys and everything they're doing. It's important for me to, as a director, I'm not from the Charlotte area, but where I'm from, bro, we give respect where respect is due. I feel like it's a lot of gatekeeping at times and politics. I'm against all of that.
It is.
I'm against all of that, man. Anybody that's doing something and giving back to these kids, I think that they deserve to be respected. They deserve all of their flowers. So shout out to them and what they're doing, man. But kind of back to you
Yeah.
and everything that you got going on, man.
Yeah,
so
man.
let's talk about your current situation.
Okay.
I know you got the Sprinter vans.
Yeah.
You know, you just announced something major that you're
Yeah.
doing for the city.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What's going on now currently?
Oh, man. So I will say, you know, I think my life is normal until I try to explain it to somebody.
Right.
And then I realize, okay, my life is a little bit more complicated than that. We talk about the Sprinter vans a lot. The Sprinter vans kind of came into the same dynamic that you were talking about earlier, where I saw a gap.
Mm-hmm.
Where on a Friday night, I'd find out that we're going to a tournament 3 hours away, and only 4 kids can go. The other 3 got some sort of transportation or family dynamic that's preventing them. And it kind of boiled over one nationals in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing grinds my gears more than going to Florida and not having a good experience.
Right.
And especially when it's something you own.
It's something you own, yeah.
And so I looked at my son and one of those Uber rides and said, man, I'm buying a van.
Yeah.
He looked at me like, you serious, Dad? I said, no, I'm dead serious.
Get in the van.
And so, and then I met you through that relationship. And, you know, a lot of my customers are 30-40% of them are repeat.
Mm-hmm.
About 15% of them are the travel programs.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of folks thought I may gatekeep with the vans, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, no. Like, I've always rented from Enterprise and Bandango, and nothing against those programs, those companies or whatnot, but I know what the real operating cost is.
Yeah.
And I know how to do it, and I know how to do it in a fashion that it's something that others can be able to utilize. It's nothing like, you know, being able to, you know, it's something like about being able to provide something to someone that you know is something they're going to benefit in. Because even for me, like for example, like the deals I may give you on the vans, I may take a little bit of a loss on that.
Yeah.
But for me, that's opened up maybe 5 or 6 more other customers to come through the door.
Big fact.
So that's kind of how I look at it, where when you look at it at a more of a corporate level, you know, Enterprise don't care who you are.
Right.
Right? It's the same dynamic.
I worked at Enterprise. They trying to get that money.
Yeah, they trying to get the money. So I get it, but now I see it from a different perspective. And, you know, that kind of led to some other things. But I really want to start with that because I never meant to be an entrepreneur. Never. Like my dynamic was I'm a lifetime banker, 20 years in banking. I just knew I was going to be a banker my whole life.
Yeah.
And had some life events that happened over COVID and call it over the last 2 years or whatnot. Where I said, let me take a transition out and let's see.
Yeah.
And so I really started to delve into the van business. I'm going to give you guys my website. So I got my own website now on the van business. So we started out on Turo, right?
Yeah.
But you start to realize in entrepreneurship is that same things you do to make a corporation money, it's the same things you need in business.
Right.
And I think the biggest benefit I had in banking was I transitioned to a COO role. Mm-hmm. And a COO role is basically you do everything.
Everything.
You know, you hire, you fire, you hire vendors, you do it all. The system break, you call them, you know, all that, right? And so for me, those same skill sets I applied to the van business.
Right.
And, you know, that just kind of ballooned into other things. And the opportunity with Eastland Sports Campus, really, I started out, I was supposed to be an investor in the project. And
I was wondering what exactly your role was.
Yeah, I was supposed to be an investor. So it was shout out to Titus Ivory, Charlotte native, played at Penn State. He was training my kid, and he said, hey, man, my mom is trying to build a sports complex. She needs some help. Carlina Ivory is retired from the city, but she's still working, but retired from the city. She's city council, and she had this vision for having a sports complex.
Yep.
And at the time, I was, like I said, just being an investor. And as I started becoming an investor, I started to see like, oh, whoever the person that was leading the project, they were not doing a great job.
Really? Okay.
Because part of the job was, okay, you know, you're getting public funding. Some of the projects public funded.
Right.
Some of the project is privately funded. Mm-hmm. But there's just a lot in between.
Right.
And this individual just was not doing a good job. And we had one particular meeting with the city. It went bad, man.
Really?
It was like the classic meeting where you're like just told to go and you realize it's gonna be a multitask meeting. Yeah. So I'm multitasking on the call. I'm realizing it's going left.
It's not going as planned at all.
So I'm like, oh man, like the ship's just going. So I got a call from Carlina Ivory after that meeting. She said, I want you to take over. And I really didn't know what that meant. And I would tell everybody, like, you know, bringing this project to life is almost like a mini MBA course. It's almost like, you have another degree.
Yeah.
Just because when you're doing business, it's one thing, but when you're doing a public-private partnership, it's a whole different dynamic.
Right.
'Cause
So do you have an MBA?
Yeah, I have an MBA from Fordham University.
Okay.
So I did an executive MBA program. I graduated maybe a couple weeks before before RJ was born. And that program, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but that program was on a weekend or whatnot. And that was a challenge to do that. I worked 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, and then I went to school on the weekends.
Grinding.
I did that for 18 months. So again, back to entrepreneurship. That was a form of entrepreneurship because that was the first time I really invested in me.
Investing in yourself.
Because you go to get a 4-year degree, that's typically your parents
right
financing that. That's typically them pushing it. But when you say you want to get your MBA or your master's,
that's all on you.
Yeah, my mother was like, well, that's good, son. You gonna have to pay for that.
Right.
And so that was my first, I guess, if I think about it in hindsight, my first step in entrepreneurship, investing in me.
Yeah.
And just really connecting the dots back to Eastland. And then it just kind of went from one particular thing where this process has been going on maybe 3 years, maybe 4.
So y'all been working on this for 3 or 4 years already?
We've been working on this since 2023. They were working on it. It predates me. They were close to making the project work, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
Around
so
2020.
Pre-COVID.
It's pre-COVID, this project.
Dang.
This project originally, before it was going to Eastland Mall, it was going to be by the airport.
Yeah.
And then anything in public service, as leadership roles change in public service, then the priorities change of the city.
Right.
Right. We had a new owner, David Tepper, bought the Panthers and things of that nature. So this project's been going on for a long time. So 2023 was really when I really started to get involved. Shout out to the East Side community. Did a presentation on the East Side. I'm never gonna forget. It was a Saturday. It was like a Saturday morning, almost like in like a rec center.
Yeah.
And it was all these different individuals or community folks in the city or whatnot from the East Side, and they really got behind the project from day one.
Yeah.
And as I started to go through that process, then you have to like sell the vision to the city.
Right.
Now that's a whole nother thing because you got to remember, I'm coming from the banking space. I'm coming from the corporate space. So how I thought about selling a concept and an idea was very like linear. It's very like, okay, the economics have to pencil. Okay, this has to pencil. But when you're talking to 11 city councilmen and women, there's 11 different perspectives that you're going to get. Ultimately, we were able to merge with another group that was also vying for the land at Eastland Charter Soccer Academy. Shout out Charter Soccer Academy. And they're focusing more on the outdoor piece where they're going to do 6 fields outside.
They got turf fields or something?
They got turf fields outside. Charter Soccer Academy, think of them as kind of like a premier AAU player from the Charter Soccer family.
I know a lot of kids at my school.
Oh, they have 10,000 families.
Yeah.
And that was a whole nother insight because once we started partnering with them, I started to realize like all the gaps we had in basketball.
Yeah.
My best friend, Ike Fuller, shout out to Ike Fuller, his son plays at that level of soccer.
Right.
And he always told me it was real organized in the soccer world compared to basketball. When you start to do business and you're on the other side and you're looking at how they do business,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. They're very organized.
Yeah.
Right. And so, they're doing the outdoor piece of it. And then the Edge Sports Group is kind of more of our part of our group on our side for the indoor sports complex.
Yep.
Edge owns and operates 13 facilities across the country.
Yeah.
So I've been able to visit a lot of their facilities and see how their facilities are run. And you just start to like the gaps that you see.
It's crazy.
And like some of the programming elements. I mean, they have teams that just practice at their gym. They do everything there. They do summer camps, they do skills and drills, they do all. It's like their home.
Right.
And that was always my thing with basketball here. I always felt like there should be a place that's a home for a program.
For everything, yeah.
And it shouldn't be based on a sport. Like I see that in Charlotte Soccer Academy. I see it in other sports, but I don't see that in basketball.
Yeah.
That's why I like By the Bucket and all these other programs that's coming about because you guys are establishing some sort of foundation,
right?
Some sort of home, right?
Yep.
And so that's kind of where we are, man. We had the groundbreaking 2 weeks ago. The groundbreaking was, it was outstanding. I will tell you that, you know how you know that it's going to be a big deal, but then when you get in the moment, you're like, oh wow, like it's one of those things.
Like everything you imagine.
Everything I imagined, and it was, I've never seen every city councilman and woman come to a groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And just the amount of energy behind it. And, it's just one of the things like the success that Rock Hills had with their event center and sports complex. And it's just been one of those things where like the city's just really, really just supported it from day one. I laugh now because sometimes I see a post about Eastland Sports Campus and I go look at the comments and I read the comments and I'm like, if y'all only knew. If y'all only knew if it was that simple or whatnot. But yeah.
No, that's dope, man. And shout out to the city of Charlotte getting behind this guy and the vision that they had for this project. You know, I know how you do business on the small scale. So like I can only imagine how locked in you are with a project like this.
Man.
I know you know you laser focused. Trey, man, I see you over here, man. You soaking in a lot with that big head of yours. This is a entrepreneur that you sit next to, right? This is a guy that's been able to make power moves. He talked about getting his MBA, which is something that you do after you graduate regular college, right? So you got a bachelor's degree and an MBA, right? He talked about going to Morehouse. What questions do you have for this man?
So you wear a lot of hats like my dad does. How do you handle the business that you
like managing the business?
Yeah, manage the business.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I didn't understand until I really started to own my own business is that you have to backfill yourself. You know, the whole concept of you doing everything and that sounds great from like the grind standpoint.
Right.
You're going to burn out.
You're going to burn out.
You're going to burn out. And so I've had to backfill myself in some of the operational aspects of the van business. And some folks don't want to backfill themselves because they don't want to take away from their profit. And then, see, that's where you mess up.
So you got a lot of people working with you.
Yeah, I got a lot of people working for me now. And so, I've had to backfill myself because I can't, you know, if I get a booking that comes in, the van's not ready or whatever, I can't stop what I'm doing and go do that, right? If it costs XYZ dollars to have somebody go do that, that's cost of doing business, right?
Yep.
And so you have to start to backfill yourself. And even in Eastland Sports Campus, there's people that maybe never ever get the credit that they should get credit, and I'll make sure they will.
Yeah.
They help me. You know, I'm never going to forget, I was going through something with Eastland and showed up at Carlene near Ivory's house one night about 8 o'clock on a Friday, man. And she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm just exhausted." And I started telling about all the stuff that we were dealing with to try to make this project happen. And she started supporting me and bringing in other people that we're paying
to help.
Because you need arms and legs. And so to answer your question, son, you gotta backfill yourself. Because the best thing about backfilling yourself, it's almost like, think of like recovery. How we tell our kids that they need to go to recovery, they need to do cryotherapy, they do massage, because you gotta allow your body to recover mentally, physically. But guess what? Your next idea can be born because you're not focusing.
You could think.
You can think.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing when you got time to think.
Yeah.
You got time to think because now you have all these bits and pieces from other projects you've done, successes, failures, or whatnot. So you look at next opportunities differently.
Yeah.
So you got to back for yourself so you can not burn out and have time for mental clarity.
Yep.
And I mean, listen, if you want to sit on the couch and watch 20 episodes of The Wire with a bucket of ice cream, do that too.
Word.
You know?
Word. You get what he mean by that? What you think he talking about? Let's make sure you're retaining this information.
I think he talking about like managing the business so you know everything's well, but at a certain point in time, you're kind of going to get tired of it, but you still got to go through it.
Yeah, but he's also talking about like getting people to help them do it. So just thinking like about a bucket, you know, we got Pop that does the merch and he handles the money and the finances. Then you got Uncle Mook who's doing the trainings and the day-to-day stuff is normally things that I do, right? I'm talking to the parents, I'm kissing, shaking hands and kissing babies and stuff, right? So he's just talking about being able to duplicate yourself so that you can maximize the work that's put into the business without burning yourself out too. You know what I mean? Very important. I think that's a good gem that's dropped. If you're listening, young entrepreneurs, definitely make sure that you tapped in and truly internalize that, because as an entrepreneur myself, that's definitely something that's very important and hard to do. Because like you said, it take money to make money. And sometimes you got to lose money on things like that because now you can expand your business though. So it's more money in the future. And that's even something that, you know, myself, I'm always working. My wife's like, man, you need help. You need to do this. And, you know, it's a family business, so everybody pitching in. But sometimes you got to outsource even outside of the family to help.
Oh, yeah. And give yourself grace. One of my business partners, I was talking about an element like this. And he was like, yeah, it's called a stupid tax.
Yeah.
He said, everybody got to pay the stupid tax in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And at times, what are we talking about? I was like, oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, every van rental I've not made money on.
Right.
Some of them I've kind of been like, never ever again.
Yeah.
But you learn a lot in
You
that
learn.
process, right?
Yeah. Like failing forward.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Anything in entrepreneurship, I tell people, you got to think ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think of like, okay, what could happen?
Yep.
And how do you kind of put in, no different at work. When I was in corporate America, I worked in the risk world. The risk world is you operate in what sort of controls you have in place in case the bank does this.
Right.
It's the same thing in your business.
Yeah.
What happens if, someone decides that they want to junkie up the car? Okay,
Yeah.
you need to allocate more time for the turnover time, right? It's no different. No different.
No, that's another gem that's dropped too, because I also work, in the corporate world. And one thing I tell like my friends, like you said, man, that 9 to 5, you use that to give you money to invest in your business. But 2, all of the things that you learn from running these companies is the same things that you could be putting into your own business.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I always been reading a book now called Start, Sell, Grow.
Yeah.
And one thing in the book they talk about is entrepreneurship. This guy ran all these different businesses or whatnot. And he first started, he was talking about best time to start in entrepreneurship is like when you're in your late 30s, 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically at that point in time in life, you've learned a lot from working for other people.
Right.
But you've also built up a network.
Right.
That's the other thing in business, having folks that you know to go to. At that point in time in your life, you know who your accountant is.
Mm-hmm.
You know who your financial advisor is. You know you already kind of have a little bit of a toolbox.
You got a foundation.
So people think that entrepreneurship has to be something only for the young. I'll tell you, like, probably as you get older in life, it might be a good opportunity for you to look at entrepreneurship because now you've built up some tools and not had to live with the mistakes of making those mistakes. You're making the mistakes on somebody else's dime, right?
Yeah.
And then when you start to get into it from an entrepreneurship standpoint, there's nothing I do not do on Eastland Sports Campus or with RBVS, the van business, that is not some element of something
that you did before.
Oh yeah, that's why I don't really have nerves about anything. Like people look at me like, "Oh, this didn't go well." Like
you've been battle tested.
I've done this enough. Done this enough. I expect something to go wrong.
Think of it like when you hooping and you training and you've been through the fire, so you get in the games. Like you said, the practice part was hard. You did the hard stuff. So what's pressure? You prepared.
Oh yeah, you prepared. I mean, I remember a couple times I would do presentations for Eastland, and I would like leave, and I'd be like exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
But then after a while, I kind of knew who was going to ask and what they were going to ask and what their angle was, right? So then I was ready, right? And so, there's a cliche of being over-prepared is the best tool against anxiety and pressure, right? And you're always going to have anxiety and pressure and whatnot. That's because you care.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell my kids, if you're nervous about something, you have an anxiety about something, to some degree, that means you care.
Yeah, that means
about
you
what
still
it is,
love
right?
it.
So that you make that be, don't let it kill you.
Yeah.
Make that be your power.
Yep. You let that be the fuel to your fire.
For sure.
So Trey, we're learning a lot here, man. I hope you need to start taking like a notebook to these things, man, these interviews. But let's kind of, what questions do you have to him maybe about challenges or adversity that you face?
What advice do you have for me as a businessman if I don't make it in my way of basketball?
I would say my biggest advice for you is to always think about your basketball career and how you can apply that in the business world. I will say some of the most successful people I've seen in business have been individuals who've played sports.
Mm-hmm.
One of my biggest mentors, shout out to Keith Cocker, president of Bank of America. He always talks about how he'll always hire somebody that's a swimmer.
Yep.
And his rationale behind that is that a swimmer, you know what it takes to be a swimmer? You got to get up and be in the pool at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So that person can make a 7 a.m. meeting or 8 a.m. meeting, right? Because they've had to do that throughout. So to answer your question, son, essentially what I would say, think about everything you're learning in these gyms and think about how you would apply it in life. Because everything you're learning in here is the same thing that's going to make you successful in life. You're going to have teams that are going to be good some years. Then next year, 2 kids going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to figure out, oh, crap, do I want to leave too? Or do I want to stay, right? It's going to be no different. Sometimes you can look at that as an opportunity for you to shine.
Yep.
No different than when you get into the work world. There may be opportunities that transitions may happen. That's time for you to step up and show that you can do the job, right? So I always think about what you learn in these gyms. Think about it. It's going to help me at some point in life. I just don't know how yet. I always tell my kids this when I'm talking to them. I'm like, I know what I'm telling you makes absolutely no sense. But one day it's going to click.
It's going to click.
It's going to click. And I'm always relating sports to life. It's a big thing. Even when I was an assistant coach, we talked about all the kids that you become uncles and nephews for.
Yeah.
I mean, how you think the van business started?
Yep.
Everybody, when it's on Friday, like, oh, Coach Rob gonna get us there. Coach Rob gonna get us there. There's kids I coached when they was 4th, 5th grade.
Yeah.
They still come up to me in the gyms now, right? Because they see, what I was trying to put into them.
Yeah.
But, to answer your question, everything you learn in this gym, son, is going to somehow be applicable to you in your career as an entrepreneur, as your role as a husband and a father, right? So you're going to think about all the challenging conversations you and your dad have, right? You're going to be the same dad one day having those same conversations with your kid, right? So think about everything you're learning in this sports world. It's going to come back to you and be applicable in another part of life.
And Trey, he continues to talk about the van. You're next to the guy that got the Maybach Sprinter that you love to ride in. Talk about your experience, because the viewers out there, for people that might not have, rode in these Sprinters, talk about how fun it is to get up. We're about to do it in, 2 weeks? We're about to get on we about
April
to go to
3rd.
Alabama.
I got you locked in.
We're going to Alabama. Talk to them about how excited y'all are when the team comes over to our house and we leave out for a trip.
I got 3 words for it. It is heaven.
That's good, man.
Man, it's definitely lit, bro. Like, as a coach, sometimes it's overwhelming. You're doing all of this stuff, trying to make sure that the trip is worthwhile for the kids.
Yeah.
But, man, when we get in the van, and that's when I find out that I am getting old, because I turn on my music.
Oh, man.
They don't want to hear nothing I'm playing.
They don't want to hear none of that,
The
man.
J. Cole too old. I definitely don't put on no Jay-Z or Nas. They don't want to hear none of that. Come on, Unc, what you doing? What you want to listen to in the van?
Young boy.
Yeah, it's you guys laugh, but there's another van that I have. It's more like a luxury style van or whatnot, and I rode in it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I've never ridden in the back of my vans.
Word.
And so we were riding back from Memphis, and I was like in the back.
Yep.
And I'm just listening to the kids. Shout out to Team United 2030. Y'all my boys, boy. Some of y'all kids I done known since y'all was 7 years old. But anyway, they had me rolling. They was going over they were saying all the plays they have. They was going through this. And then they were talking about all the stuff that was happening in the hotel room and whatnot. And I was sitting back there and I was saying, see, this is what it's about.
That's the beauty of it all.
Because see, now I'm going to trust you differently. I'm going to look at you differently when I see you open over there.
Yeah.
I may know you're going to miss the shot, but I may make the basketball play now. Because now we got a relationship.
That's that bond.
And so a lot of times those experiences, man, are just for those kids to really start the bond. I always tell the coaches on that particular van, it's got a TV.
Yeah.
You want to do a film session? Do a film session. So I think the kids too, I noticed, they like rolling up in the van.
They do.
They feel like
it's a lot different.
It's a lot different, so they like it. So I'm happy that all the kids enjoy it. It's funny. Some of the kids don't even know they rode in my van.
Yeah.
and that's kind of how I like it, right?
Yep.
Because I want you to experience that and have that experience and that be unique to you.
Yeah, man. We used to, like I said before we even started talking on the pod, back in DC, we used to I ran a Sprinter business of my own, or transportation business. I had the black trucks, the Suburbans, the Tahoes, all that type of stuff. But the Sprinter experience was always different. The kids definitely enjoy hopping out of a Sprinter van opposed to hopping out of Expedition, Suburban. It's just a whole different vibe. More people. It's just they can bring more stuff. They done been on there with the P5. Game.
Oh yeah.
So it's lit, man. If you haven't booked already, I'm gonna let you know about a bucket. We try to get it booked up quick because we know they don't stay at the crib for too long.
Nah, they don't. I mean, I'll tell you, the business is RBVS. This time of year is crazy.
Yeah.
And just the amount of like partnerships and relationships. The vans are booked almost all of April and May, probably partial in June already.
Yeah.
And it's the same, it's some level of group travel.
Yeah.
Whether it's a sports team, I have relationships with St. Paul Baptist Church. They rent from me all the time.
Yeah.
The Masters is coming up in April. I got vans going to the Masters.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So I have all these different things going on. And I did a partnership with ATL Sprinters in Atlanta. So the next thing for me from the van business is, how do I scale my fleet without necessarily adding a van?
Yeah.
And so I work with a guy named Finney down in Atlanta who runs ATL Sprinters. And we really basically, if I have a van that's not being used and he has a booking,
he can use it.
He can use it. And we'll meet in Greenville. We'll do the swap.
Yep.
No different than I got a team that's looking. I didn't even know Made Hoops has another session. You were just telling me about it. They're looking for a van. So he said, hey, I got a van. I can get you a van. So just starting to build those partnerships and those relationships and whatnot, because sometimes, like I would say, January and February is a slow time in the van business. And so I realized, okay, 6-7 vans is kind of my sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a demand sometimes beyond that, yes, but not to the point where I need to add another vehicle, right? And so that's where some of the business savviness comes into play, where I'll stay at night, I'll sit and have me a nice drink and watching the games, and I'll be looking at data. Data from all my vans. What's my peak seasons? What's my low seasons? Okay, I can cut the price this month to kind of break even this month. And it's one of those things that you constantly refining, but also too, just thinking about all the relationships. You know, I'll reach out to all the basketball teams. I'll call you. And it's funny, like, I've been doing this 3 years now. When I used to call individuals and say, hey, I got some vans available, you know, just can you give me your dates ahead of time? Now you send me a text at like either late at night or early in the morning. It was like a long text. It was like all these dates. And I was the first thing I got my cup of coffee. I said, I got to block off his dates because they'll book up.
And like I said, I am familiar with the business side of it. So I'm like, and in my family, my dad, he taught me pretty much. I was like him. I was always around him. I was a sponge early on, and he taught me almost everything about a lot of like the music industry, the entertainment industry, the sports industry. So I soaked up all of that stuff, and like I take it serious. My wife be like, "You don't sleep." I'd be like, "Because like I'm competitive. I want to win. It's a part of me." And I'll be like, I'm hoping I'm not rubbing people the wrong way, but I always know when I'm like dealing with a real businessman.
Oh yeah,
because they be up too.
I be up too. I mean, Eastland Sports Campus has kept me up so many nights. I cannot even tell you. I was going back and looking at some of the presentations and materials I've done over the last 3 years. I looked at a deck I did like 3 years ago. I was like, this was trash. But that was like what I thought was the best version then, right? And so you realize as you go through this process, and even now, like I'm hiring general contractors, I'm hiring engineers, I'm hiring architects, all these different people that I'm hiring. And I'm quick to tell you, I don't know anything about that stuff. But what I do know is I do know how to hire the right people to execute. I'm more of a connector type person, right? So I'm more of an orchestrator. So we got those individuals that are really helping us with the permitting process and being able to break ground. And like I said, the project is going to be open in late 2028. The project's going to be open 2029. I'm already getting people that want to book out the gym in 2029.
That's what's up.
You know, your big shots of the world, Phenom, On the Radar, all of them are all reaching out. You know, got some medical providers thinking about putting medical facilities in the gym. It's going to be one of those things where strength and conditioning, physical therapy, but also too in the East Side community, there's other medical needs that they need, right? So I just got off a call before I walked in here with the health provider, and they're talking about other things that, you know, individuals need from a health perspective in that area, whether it's hip injuries or hip replacements, or whether it's dialysis or whatever it is, right? So it's going to be an element of that. There's going to be a learning center, learning center component, which is kind of be a nonprofit inside of it. The nonprofit is really meant to be part of the community give back. So maybe we're shooting the podcast out of there, you know, 3 years from now, whatnot. But really, it's meant to be something that the community can use for different offerings or whatnot. So it's going to be a game changer, man. I'm really, really excited about some of the workforce development piece of it because, you know, our youth, man, like that's part of the reason why I just stay focused on it so much from a dad perspective. Because I see certain kids, man, and I'm like, man, that kid don't keep hooping. The streets waiting on them. Waiting on them. And so anything I can do to kind of keep that kid in the gym, I'm out. That's part of like the underlying passion behind it.
And there's nothing safe in the streets.
Oh yeah, man. There's you know, you and I have been in these gyms many times. You know, there's a thing I'm working on now with the city from a workforce development standpoint, where I'm gonna work with the city on being able to, when we have tournaments and stuff, help pay for kids to be clock operators. Clear kids to work in the gym or whatnot.
That'd be good for them.
You got to be good for them, right? Because everybody don't want to hoop, but they may want a couple dollars in their pocket, right? You know, so just thinking about how this project can just be totally changing. And I haven't talked about it, but I'm from that area.
Yeah.
So I'm born on the west side or whatnot, but I grew up on Alma Road.
Yeah.
So right there where that Eastland and Eastland Mall is, I mean, got my ears pierced there.
Yeah.
Went to the mall with $20. Talked to the girl at the cookie line. Like
Yeah.
I, walked around. Buddy told me that day, he said, man, I used to go to the Foot Locker and buy some socks so I could at least walk around with a bag. You know, so we ain't had no money, man. We just wanted to hang around in the mall.
That's dope.
And just being able to do this project in that area and realizing like if you look at Charlotte, the east side is not really taking off the way everything else has.
Right.
And just looking at this project being an activator, the way I look at it is like, if you look at Central Avenue and Alma Road, it's just going to be an activator to that area to really just continue to launch back, down the road there. So just really excited about it, man. Just blessed and fortunate. Like I never intended for it to be on this level. But I realized over time by listening to folks like Carlene and Ivory, and shout out to City Councilman James Mitchell saying, Robert, you really need to take this and run with this.
Yeah.
Because that's not really my comfort lane. My comfort lane is I'm going to get things done behind the scenes type guy.
Right.
But at some point you got to, give yourself your flowers and really like understand that, where you are in the movement of making stuff happen. And just happy to really be able to represent the project, represent the city. I think it at least shows, folks like your son and others that, Black and brown kids can really, ascend not just the corporate ranks, but really ascend the entrepreneurship and the business ranks. And I've had a lot of folks that have been in my corner over the years, didn't really understand what they were trying to teach to me. Mm-hmm. And it's all starting to click now.
Starting to make sense.
I don't know what it is about your mid-40s. You're younger than me. Yeah. Something about the mid-40s, man. You just really look at life from a whole different perspective. Because you know how to survive. You know what that is. But now it's like you start thinking about, okay, how can I give back to others,
Yeah. No, see that, and this is why like I enjoy these conversations, like being around older guys. Nothing against people my age, but I'm always thinking about the future. Yeah. Right. I mean, I've learned that you got to enjoy your present too, and because the future isn't promised. But just being around guys that's having high level conversations, I'm able to kind of elevate my mind and think about, dang, if he did this at 40, if I just soak up what he's doing and learn from his stuff, maybe I could do that at an earlier age or whatever the case may be. But no, I really appreciate all of the gems that you've dropped. I look forward to the project. Shout out to the East Side. When we moved to Charlotte, we live close to Albemarle Road. Okay. So, I definitely, get it and kind of understand the capacity of what you're talking about. This segment of the show is where we kind of jump into our favorite segment with Trigger Trey. Trey's Hot Takes. What you got for us today, Trey? It better be a good one, bro.
Who's the best sports man, businessman, or woman of all time?
Of all time? Ooh. Businessman of all time.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Oof. I may say some names that may not even ring a bell, but I'll say a name that really starts to may resonate with you. I would say Magic Johnson.
Ooh.
Because Magic Johnson, I mean, he played, obviously he played basketball or whatnot, but I'm never going to forget, I lived in Harlem for about 12 years, and at the time, Magic Johnson was investing a lot in Harlem before anybody else was investing in Harlem. He had a he had a movie theater on 125th or whatnot. It was called Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson. Yeah, it might be a little ghetto in there, but it was Magic Johnson Theater, right?
Magic Johnson movie theater.
But for me, and then if you think about his relationships with the Lakers and going through those different business trials and tribulations, you're gonna be part of the ownership group, you can be out of the ownership group. You know what? I'm gonna go buy me a stake in the Dodgers, right? Yeah. So I would say that from a standpoint, Magic Johnson to me is probably at least from my generation and me growing up and somebody that I watch and then I watch as I'm an older man now, I would say it's probably one of the most profound businessmen in sports.
Can't go wrong with the Magic one. Who you think, Trey? What you think?
What's his name? CP3 cousin?
You talk about somebody that we had on this show? You talking about AJ? Hey, shout out to AJ, man. AJ Richardson. You think why you think him? Because you met him?
He just handles business well.
He handles business well. Hey, if AJ was our first guest on this show. Okay. So if AJ hear this, he gonna be geeked to know Trey said he's the best sports businessman. Hey, that's what's up though, because a big part of this show is just really to kind of inspire the student athlete.
Yeah.
right? So a lot of the people that tune into this is guys that I coach, other kids within the community, other
Okay.
players and teams and that sort of thing. They need to be able to see like basketball playing is not the end all be all.
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
No.
And this round ball that we love to play, you know, can take us to different parts of the world that we never imagined.
Oh yeah.
It can open doors for us that we never imagined. So now, Magic Johnson is a big one. I think I would say, and he's probably the baby Magic. I would say LeBron,
Okay.
or
That's a good
maybe
one.
Shaq. But
That's another good one.
LeBron, I think the reason I like LeBron for me is probably similar to what you said about Magic. I've watched LeBron came out in 03. I was still in elementary school.
Yeah.
So the first LeBrons that I bought, you know, or that my parents bought for me, I think I might have been in the 3rd or 4th grade. And, you know, like at that time, we knew LeBron from high school.
Oh yeah.
And when he was on the cover with Sebastian Telfair and
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Hove was coming to the games and stuff. And like at that time, like LeBron was a big deal. I mean, he's still a big deal, but he was like larger than life. And like these kids, LeBron don't have a back. What? Back then, LeBron was going crazy.
Nah,
So,
yeah.
and then seeing how he was able to put on all of his homies
Oh yeah.
and trust them with business, and then also stay pretty much for the most part like drama-free, scandal-free. He never really been in the, you know, the spotlight for anything negative other than making his own moves and doing it his own way.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, I just look forward to, I mean, he's a billionaire playing.
Yeah.
So I just look forward to all of the things that he's going to do once he leaves. Because, I mean, Magic and them, they became billionaires after the fact.
Yeah, they did.
You know, and I think they learned a lot and they grew as people and businessmen after the sport. LeBron is already a billionaire now, and I think it's a bunch of money that he probably has undocumented.
Oh yeah.
It moves that they he just said he wasn't gonna mess with the expansion to Vegas.
Yeah.
So I wonder what he's really gonna do.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they were talking about him purchasing, you know, his own league or something like that.
Yeah.
So I know he's just like a trailblazer when it comes to business.
Yeah.
And then Shaq is another one that's just like,
oh yeah.
Even the idea of the Shaqs, everybody joked about and everything. He made billions of dollars off of the
they don't even know he was a rapper. They didn't even know he was a rapper.
And did everything, bro. So no, that's what's up, man. Shout out to all of the businessmen and women within the sports. Shout out to the student athletes that's tuning in. But before we kind of jump off of this thing, man, one thing we do in CMS, Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools, is capturing kids' hearts. So 3 good things going on in your life that can inspire anybody around, you know, that's viewing in.
Oof. Well, obviously, one big good thing is going on in my life is Eastland Sports Campus. I think for you to be a kid that's from Charlotte, to grow up on the east side of Charlotte, to have your kids really adopt this AAU basketball culture, and to be able to be a leader in bringing 120,000 foot complex to the city, I think is a big thing. I would definitely say that. In terms of other things that inspire the young athletes that's going on in my life, I would say, man, I really take a lot of pride, man, in being a dad, man.
Yeah.
Really my son right now is watching this, I call it a cartoon, but it's based on a comic.
Yeah.
And he's hell bent on us finishing these episodes before the next season come out.
Yeah.
And I'm like not really following about 20% of the content, but I say to myself, one big thing in terms of being able to inspire the kids is, you know, being a good dad.
Yeah.
That really, really hits home to me because those times I'm not going to get back.
And being present in those moments too.
Being present, man. Like I will say, like, had some tough times in my life, you know, where I might not have been as present as a father. And I recognize that. And I've said, oh, crap, you know, you made a mistake there.
Yeah.
How can you do better? And just realize as a dad, like, you're going to make some mistakes.
Yeah.
Give yourself grace and realize they still going to be your kids.
Right.
You know, still going to be your kids. You always got time to make it up with them. So definitely try to be, you know, more present. And I'll say another thing that's going on in my life right now, I would say, man, just really, honestly, living a good, healthy, clean life. I would say, like, a lot of times I used to be in life saying, well, why is this opportunity not happening? And now I think about it, if that opportunity would have happened the way I was living my life, but they say fumble the bag.
You would have fumbled the bag.
I would have fumbled the bag. If this Eastland Sports Campus opportunity came about 3-4 years ago, even 5-6 years ago, I would have totally messed this whole thing up. But things come to you in life when you live in the right way. And so I always remember that, like, if something's not happening well for you, think about what's going on in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, you're going to find there's something else you're not, doing so great in, whether you're not being a great dad, great husband, great boyfriend, whatever it is, it's going to show up because other opportunities may not come because you're not living right.
Yeah.
You think you're doing everything right, but the universe ain't
That's
going
a gem.
The universe not going to give you stuff
Yeah.
when you're living wrong.
Yep.
It's just not,
Yep.
So those would be the three things I would say I think I'm doing right in my life right now that I want to tell the kids about.
That might have been the best three good things that we got since we started this, man. Episode 10, man. Great things come to you when you're living right. That's something to truly internalize and think about. One thing I always preach is how you do anything is how you do everything. How you do something is how you do everything. But, man, great things definitely come when you're living the right way and when you're prepared for it. And you're prepared for it when you live in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I appreciate you. Being like I told you at the beginning of the episode, just a great role model for a young businessman like me, somebody that you talk to on the phone or through text and then see in person, and it's the same vibe. It's love. You joke, you laugh, but when you handle business, I gotta approach it a certain way because you just set that tone that like you take it serious.
Yeah, I do,
and I think that that's important because it's a lot of guys that talk a good game and they seem like they're real important people to be around, and I'm excited to do business with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I meet him, and I'm like, man, that dude lame. He's just corny. Like, that's not somebody that all money, not good money. That's how I was told. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I done been in the streets. I done been in the classroom. I done been in the corporate life. And good people translate through all of those aspects.
For sure.
So, man, I appreciate you just being a good, guy out there for us. And we really look forward to everything that's about to unfold with Eastland. Any way that, I can kind of help out, I'm always looking to kind of jump on new projects and be of an asset to people within the business world. So I appreciate you. I know that Trey might not get it now, but he'll eventually get it. But it's episode 10, Coach Manny Paris Study Hall podcast, Robert Bolton, Trey, the genius, and we're out, baby.
Peace.